Good evening, everyone. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So in the last class, we discussed about branching, right? So what is a branch? Why branching concept exists in any source code management tool? And we also discussed how any project or company manages their releases, that is new development or enhancements of their applications, correct? So assume that this is your Git repository. Okay. Let's call it as say Viculty 70. So we have the repository in GitHub. So assume that we have a repository in GitHub. So this is called as a remote repository. So as we know, when you create a remote repository, one second. So as we know, whenever we get a remote repository, Git by default creates a branch master, correct? So this is your master branch. Master branch is a default branch. Think branch as a directory. We know that. And we store the code in this particular branch, correct? As we know, whenever we want to work for the new release, say for example, if you go to Flipkart, so Flipkart, CTO, sales, marketing, development teams, testing teams, all these teams sit together, and then they plan for the next release. For example, they plan to develop 10 new features, and then they plan to fix 30 bugs in the system. And then they will also give a name for the release. Say, let's call it as release 1.2.3. So, and duration of this particular release is, say, for example, 2 months. 2 months. So in 2 months, all these teams have to work on developing these 10 new features and then fixing 30 bugs, correct? And whenever they plan for a new release, usually what do? They send an email to the DevOps team saying, okay, so we are working on release 1.2.3. Please create a branch for us. So what do? We have to work for the new release, right? We have to modify the code and write a lot of new code for these 10 features and then bug fixes, correct? So where do you commit all these 10 new features and then bug fixes code? We need to have some place, correct? So that's where they ask for a new branch. So in that case, what do? We create a new branch. This is your new branch. Let's call it as dev underscore 1.2.3. So this particular branch is created for developing 1, 2, 3 release. So we create this particular branch from master. Assume that you have 10,000 files here. You'll get 10,000 files. Assume that you have login.java. You'll get login.java. At this moment, these two branches have the same code, correct? When it comes to representing these branches, this is how we represent in real time. Say, for example, this is your master. Okay. Master has some code, correct? This one. Master has some code. Under master, we create a new branch called dev 1.2.3. So when you create a new branch from master, what will happen? Whatever code you have in the master, same thing comes here, correct? If you have 10,000 files here, 10,000 files come in dev 1.2.3. That's how we represent these two branches. So we have a master branch, right? This is your master. And from master, we create a new branch called dev 1.2.3. Clear? So this is your dev 1.2.3. Dev 1.2.3 branch. So branch is nothing but a folder, correct? So in this particular branch, assume that you have 10,000 files. What will happen when you create a new branch from the master? All 10,000 files come under 1.2.3. So you have a master branch, you're getting a duplicate copy of it, correct? So whatever code you have in the master, same thing comes here. Clear with this? So assume that this guy is a Harry, okay? This guy is Harry, developer, or anybody working in the project. If they want to work on this particular 123 release, right? 123 release, they have to modify the code for all this, correct? So what do they do usually? They first clone the repository. When they clone the repository, what will happen? They'll get two branches in their laptop. This is master, and then this is your dev123. Think to these two as two different directories. So 10,000 files here, 10,000 files here. Assume that you have login.java, login.java. So what this guy will do? This guy will take the code from this particular branch in the source area. This is your staging. Say login.java, you will get here. This guy will modify the code, add code to the stage, and then commit. Where changes are going? Changes are going in dev123. When they push, changes again will go to dev123. That's what they work. So we work like this for a month or 2 months, and then one day we will merge the code from 123 to master. Correct? Same thing I'm explaining here. There is something called branching model or branching strategy. Okay. If you go to, say, for example, a Flipkart, this is how they work. Flipkart company has master. Okay. In master, they have some Flipkart application software code. So whenever they want to work for the new release, what do they do? DevOps engineers create a new branch. How you create a branch? There is a command for that. It's a simple command. We'll discuss about that later. So DevOps engineers create dev123 branch. Correct? Okay. So master has 10,000 files. Dev123 will get 10,000 files. At this moment, both branches have the same code. Both branches code is equal. Done. So this is what we discussed in the last session. Clear with this, everybody? Right. Now, it's a 2 months release, right? It's a 2 months release. Developers have to modify the code in 123 branch, right? So this guy is a developer. So you have 100 developers, for example. So what do these developers do? These developers commit the code into dev123 branch. They'll modify the code here. They'll commit, a lot of code in 123. How do they commit? They'll take the code from dev123, modify something, add it to the stage, and then commit it to that branch. So I'm showing that here. So all these developers are committing the code to dev123. So dev123 is getting a lot of code, lot of file modifications, new files, and so on. And what we do, 10-15 days before the release, 10-15 days before the release, we usually lock the branch. As I said, developers, when they plan for the new release, there will be a release calendar, correct? Release calendar. So there'll be some milestones, okay? DevOps is to create a new branch, for example, on Jan 1st. So Jan 1st is a development start date. March 1st, everybody have to, we have to complete the release work, and then we have to release the code to the customer. So they'll prepare a proper plan for this. Jan 1st, DevOps team has to create the new branch. Development teams have to start the their development. Then QA team should be testing the code, blah blah blah, and so on. So it's Jan 1st, for example. Jan 1st, we created the branch, and March 1st, we have to release this particular code to the customers. So it's a 2 months release. Okay. So Jan 1st, once the branch is created, all developers will be committing the code. See, when you join as a DevOps engineer in some project, this is what you will observe. Okay. Any project you take, this is what happens. Believe me. So from Jan 1st, development teams start committing their code to this particular dev123 branch. Okay. And 10-15 days before the release, usually what we do, we lock the branch. If you lock the branch, nobody can commit the code into this particular development branch. Once we lock the branch, you know what we do? Once you lock the branch, we say code is freezed. We call this situation as what? Code freeze situation. Code freeze situation, CF. Code is freezed means no more commits are allowed. Branch is locked, right? That means nobody can commit the code. And when do we do this? Usually 10-15 days before you release your application code to your, 10-15 days before you release your software to your customers, we lock the branch. So assume that in this 1.5 months, okay, 15 days before we lock the branch, during this 1.5 months, there will be a lot of code right here in developer 3. We have a lot of code. So what happens usually is developers commit the code, testers test it. Again, developers commit the code, testers test it. So development and then testing happens side by side. Every day developers will be committing some new code. Testing team will take the code and then they will be testing that code. So testing and development happens side by side simultaneously. So 10-15 days before the release, we lock this particular branch. And then what we do, we merge this particular code to the master because development is done. And we lock the branch only after taking the confirmation from the development team that development is done. So there will be milestones, right? Some targets will be set for them. Say, for example, Feb 15th, okay? Development teams should commit their testing. So Feb 15th, so 15 days before March 1st. So we lock the branch once they confirm that development is done. And end of the day, what is our goal? See, what we have done, we have taken a duplicate copy. We are doing our work here, experiment here. Once the work is done, we have to merge the code back to the master, correct? So what we do 10-15 days before the release, once the development is done, we merge the code to the master. So if you merge the code to the master, what will happen? Whatever files you have modified here, same thing goes to the master. That's what we do. Correct. Now, you may be having a question here, correct? Why we have to lock the branch 10-15 days before the release? That's a question, right? Why we have to lock the branch? See, if you don't lock this particular branch, what will happen? Tell me. People will be committing the code, correct? See, any project, any software you take, there is always room for some improvement. If you don't lock the branch, what people do, just 1 minute, 1 hour before you release your software to your customers, people modify the code. Development teams may modify the code. And again, there is some modification means you have to test it, right? Correct? You modified something means what? You have to test it. And testing may take 1 day extra or 2 days extra and things like that. So again, say for example, there is some new change, right? You spend some time for testing it. Your testing is done. Again, after a minute, again, there will be some new change, some new code. Some code is modified. Again, you have to test it. Again, somebody modifies something. Again, you have to test it. So what will happen? So you will never get a chance to release your code because people are continuously committing their code. Simple example, right? Say, for example, take the same car example, right? So you have committed whole world that, you will, release your car to the world, say March 1st, for example, right? What if, somebody goes and then modifies something in dashboard software, car controlling system, for example. So there is a modification means what? You have to test it. And you may have to test, the complete car again, and you don't have time. Get it? So what if somebody goes and then modifies something in, the fuel system software? If there is a change in the fuel system, you have to test the mileage again, the heating, say your engine heating system, cooling system, performance, sound system, a lot of things, correct? Noise levels, a lot of things. So as a result, what will happen? You'll not be able to, release your product software to your customers. So that is the reason what we do to avoid those kind of last minute surprising changes. What we do, we lock the branch 10-15 days before the release, right? So we lock the branch. We call that milestone as what? Code freeze. Code freeze means code is freezed. No more changes are allowed. So once branch is locked, you send an email to your development teams and QA team saying, okay, branch is locked, and then you cannot, you just send an email that saying, okay, code is freezed. People understand that, okay, I cannot modify the code in this particular branch now. And we lock the branch only once they confirm that development is done, and we would have already given them some targets. Once branch is locked, what we do, we merge the code to the master. Then comes your testing team. Your testing team will do some thorough testing. They'll take some cooling period, okay? So they need some 10-15 days of time to, stabilize the code to test, this particular software. And then testing teams will start their thorough testing, usually system integration testing, your performance testings, and so on. Now, see this. You are working on 1, 2, 3. You have taken the copy of the master here. You started modifying a lot of code. Once your development is done, you lock the branch. You call that as a code freeze. Then comes testing team, and then they do some thorough testing. They are doing some thorough testing. Assume that during their thorough testing, they find some bug. They report a bug. Possible, right? So development is done, right? When you are testing, again, there may be some bugs, correct? They find some bugs. So when there is a bug, what do? Usually, they report it to the dev team. They report to the dev team. Now, developer modifies the code. Developer fixes that issue. And developer has to commit the code, correct? And branch is already locked. Developer cannot commit. So this developer comes to you, DevOps engineer, saying, hello, DevOps engineer, I have some bug fix, okay? Please unlock the branch for me. As a DevOps engineer, can we unlock the branch for this developer? No. Why? Why we cannot lock the branch? Because we don't know what kind of change it is, correct? So developer is committing something, we don't know what kind of change it is. As I said before, you are modifying something, you are committing some code means what? You may have to test your complete application again, right? And as a result, you may not be able to release the application to your customer in time. So we cannot decide whether it's a small change or what it is. So what we do, we tell developer, hello developer, I cannot take a decision for you. I cannot unlock the branch. Instead, you go and then take an approval from your manager. So what developer will do? Developer will go to his or her manager saying, okay, so this is a change. There was some issue, right? I have modified the code and DevOps team is not unlocking the branch for me. Can you approve it? Can reply to my email saying, okay, allow the developer to commit the code. And when this developer goes and then asks manager will ask a lot of questions. Okay, this was the deadline for you. Why you could not complete this? Right? What is the impact on the testing? If I allow you to commit this particular change, how much time it will take for you to test the complete application? Or is it will it demand the complete software testing again? So he will ask a lot of questions to the developers. Usually, managers are business centric, and then they also know the technicalities and things like that. So they decide and then they allow, they reply or they approve the change accordingly. Similarly, we also ask this particular developer to take approval from testing team, development team manager, and then testing team. Testing team manager again know better, right? Whether we can allow this particular change, whether that change can now go as part of the next release. Is it critical? Is it required to be fixed? Do we need to fix this particular issue in the same release or what it is? So they decide all the stuff and then they reply to the email saying, okay, yes, approve or not approve. If these people approved, then we unlock the branch only for the developer only for the developer, whoever is working on that particular issue. Clear? So that's what happens after code freeze. Sometimes, if again depends on the project, depends on the application. Sometimes developer may have to go and then bring approvals from the senior management team also. Manager, again this guy has to get the approval from the senior manager, director, senior director, VP, senior VP, and so on. Depends on that particular project and then application and things like that. So when you join into a project, this is the information that you get from your peers, from your colleagues as part of your KT. Okay, somebody will tell you, okay, we have the master, for every new release we create a branch. So branch name will be dev123, right? So this is the naming convention we follow. 10-15 days before the release, we lock the branch and we call that as a code freeze. After code freeze, don't allow anybody to modify the code. You have to take the approval from the development team manager or director or senior director and things like that. Somebody will give you that information and you follow that process accordingly. Okay, done. So branch is locked, then testing team started thorough testing. And during thorough testing, if there are any bugs found, then what do? We unlock the branch only for the developer, whoever is working on that issue, based on the approval process. And finally, what we do, March 1st, for example. So there are no issues and things like that. Then what do? We release the software to the customers. That means you take the code from this particular branch, you build it, and then deploy to your production. We call this as 1.2.3 release. 1.2.3 release is done. Now you understand, when you get some updates, new releases, right, in your Android mobile or iOS devices, this is what happens behind the scenes. They have proper plan for the release, right? And they develop the code, they commit their code to some development branch, they lock the branch, they call it the code freeze, they do a lot of testing, right? Once the testing is done, then only they release that software to your mobile or any other devices. That's how any software development, testing, and then release happens. And who drives this complete process? It's a DevOps team. We create the branch, we merge the branch, we drive all these things. So once everything is done, then you release the code to your customers and then you call it as a release. Clear with this? Any questions you have so far? Okay.
Sir, I'm facing a problem from a previous thing. Sir, I have the token in a file in Windows machine, Windows OS.
Okay.
I'm unable to copy that token to this Linux virtual machine. How will I copy?
Generate the token in Linux machine itself, Lovely. Open the browser in Linux machine and generate the token there only, and then you'll be able to paste it. Because you cannot, by default, copy paste from the Windows to the Linux.
Okay. I have to regenerate it.
Regenerate or just go to your go to the same place, the token place. You'll be having the same token. Just copy it.
Okay.
And paste it somewhere in your Linux machine.
Okay.
Okay, see this, everybody. So release is done. Your software is released to your customers. Your customers are happily using your software. Now, one more note here. So we have locked the branch here, right? We locked the branch and we merge the code to the master. In case if you have allowed, any developer to modify the code, if there is any code here after the lock, again you have to merge. Assume that 10 files are modified, after this merge. What you will do? There is some change here, right? So this change has to go to the master, correct? Again, we will be merging that to the master only if there is any change here. Otherwise, you don't need to merge again. Okay, so branch is locked. You merge the code to the master. Now 1.2.3 release is done, right? Development teams completed their 1, 2, 3 development, correct? And testing team is doing some testing for next, say, 10, 15 days. Does that mean that development teams can go on vacation? They can stop the working? No, right? 10, 15 days while Q team, is performing some testing. Can development teams, sit idle? No, right? So what do? The moment they complete their 1, 2, 3, development, the moment the code is merged to the master, they plan to work for next release. Again, they sit in the conference. Again, they decide to fix some features, bug fixes. They call it as 1.2.4, for example. Again, they will ask us to create one more branch. So the moment branch is locked, once they complete their development, we merge the code, and then they need a branch, right? So what do? We merge the code to the master. That means dev 1 to 3 code is merged to the master. And then from master, we again create a new branch. You call it as dev 1.2.4. So 1 to 4 has 1 to 3 code, correct? 1 to 3 code is merged to the master. From master, you are getting 1 to 4. That means what? 1 to 4 has 1 to 3 code. And that should be the case, correct? So again, so that's what happens. The branch is locked. We merge the code to the master, and then we create a new branch for development teams. And development teams started working on 1 to 4, and testing teams are working on stabilizing 1, 2, 3 release code. Testing 1, 2, 3 release code. So testing team is working here, and development team started working on new release 1.2.4. So assume that development teams started working on 1 to 4. That means they are committing their code to 1 to 4. Release is done, right? Release is done. Development teams are working on 1 to 4. Okay. Now, assume that everybody is working on 1 to 4. Okay, release is done, right? So everybody is working on 1 to 4. What if there is some issue in 1 to 4? Possible, right? You release the software to your customers report some issue now. Now, can somebody tell me? See, this guy is working on 1 to 4, correct? This guy completed his work on day 1 to 3, started working on 1 to 4 now. So everybody is working on 1 to 4 release, and there is some issue in 1 to 3, the previous release in production. Now, can somebody tell me which task is important for us? Developing 1 to 4 or fixing 1 to 3 issue? Which one we have to prioritize? Which one we have to, fix? Which one we have to prioritize?
Production
This is in production, sir.
I think it's a bug fixes.
Production, bug fix, correct? Because your real customer is facing some problem here. This is very important. And 1 to 4, you have, to complete 1 to 4, you have a lot of, time, correct? Okay, done. Now you tell me, developer has to fix the issue in 1 to 3. Now, can somebody tell me in which branch developer has to commit this 1 to 3 bug fix code?
Is it master branch?
So 1 to 3, right, has an issue, reported that issue to the developer. Developer has to, fix that issue now. Okay, developer modified the code, say, for example, developer has to commit that code somewhere so that you can release. So where developer should commit, in 1 to 3 or 1 to 4 or master?
Master.
1 to 4. 1 to 4.
No,
Master branch.
Master.
I mean, once the bug fixes are done, so he has to push it to new release, right?
Finally, all releases will merge into the master branch.
That is merge. See, 1 to 3 code is merged to the master. 1 to 3 code is released. People are working on 1 to 4 now. 1 to 4 has 1 to 3 code, right? So you are still working on 1 to 4. and there is some issue in 1, 2, 3. So where developer has to submit. Master, okay, I agree, but you can submit to the master. But instead of master is also fine. There is no issue. But ideally, you have to, if there is an issue in 1, 2, 3, you have to commit that code into 1, 2, 3. Okay, what if you commit this particular code to 1, 2, 4? Assume that you committed the bug fix code to 1, 2, 4. Can you take this code and then release it to the customer? No, right? Why? So 1, 2, 4 release is still in progress. You are still developing something, testing is not complete. You have the new features here. Can you take the code from 1 to 4 and then give, can you commit 1, 2, 3 bug fix here and then take this complete code? No. Right? Because you may want to charge for this new update, new release, right? So 100% we should not commit that code to 1 to 4. Instead, what you do, whatever customer has, you have to give the fix on top of it, correct? Whatever customer has, you have to fix that, correct? So from where we have given 1, 2, 3 code to the customer, from 1, 2, 3 copy, right? From 1, 2, 3 branch. So you have to commit that bug fix to 1, 2, 3. Of course, at this point, your master also has 1, 2, 3 only. Okay, you can do that, but ideally 1, 2, 3. Remember this. Once the release is done from a particular branch, that particular branch becomes a bug fix branch. This is the code we have given to the customer. When this code has some issue, you commit something extra on top of it, and then you give it. So you'll not end up in giving something more. You are giving exactly some fix on top of what customer has, right? So developer takes the code from 1, 2, 3 branch, and then they commit the code to 1, 2, 3, that bug fix code, and then again we take that code from the bug fix branch, that 1, 2, 3 branch, and then we give it to customers. Bug is fixed. Now again, one more thing here. 1, 2, 3 has issue means 1 to 4 also has issue most of the times, correct? If it is not fixed here, see, we came to know that 1 to 3 has an issue just yesterday, and that may not be fixed. That might not, people would not have noticed it, right? And it would not have been fixed here in 1, 2, 3. So what do you do now? So 1, 2, 3 has issue means 1 to 4 also has the issue. So 1, 2, 3 has an issue. You report it to the developer. Developer committed that fix to 1, 2, 3, and then you release that bug fix to the production. And 1, 2, 3 has issue means 1 to 4 also has an issue. So what you do? Usually developers will commit the same code to 1 to 4 also. If you don't commit to 1 to 4, what will happen? That issue is not there in 1 to 4. Next time when you release 1 to 4, what will happen? Same issue will come. So 1 to 4 code will go here, right? So 1 to 4 code will override 1 to 3. So if 1 to 4 doesn't have that big bug fix, bug will again crop up. So remember, when you are fixing something in production, right? From wherever you release that code, from whatever branch you released, you have to commit that bug fix to the same branch. After the release, the branch becomes as a bug fix branch. You are committing some production issue to that branch means you have to commit the same code to your ongoing next release also. See the things now. How development is happening, how testing is happening, right? Since you have branching concept, you are able to maintain separate copies. This is master, this is 1, 2, 3, this is 1 to 4, this is NASA code, this is ISRO code, and so on. So this is how software releases. This is how people plan their releases. You call this as branching model or branching strategy. What do you call this? Branching strategy. Branching model or branching strategy. Different companies follow different branching models, different branching strategies. So you are a DevOps engineer. You joined in a project newly. Okay. You don't know this branching model in that that's been followed in that project. Some issue is reported to the developer. Developer doesn't know, right? Developer is confused. Master is there, 1, 2, 3 is there, 1, 2, 4 is there. Developer doesn't know where that bug fix code has to be submitted. So what will happen now? Developer comes to DevOps engineer. Hello, DevOps engineer. So I have some bug fix code. Can you tell me where I have to commit this? So when we are working in real time, when we have multiple branches, so it is DevOps team who knows. Okay, see, performance testing and then system integration is testing is happening here. So 1, 2, 3 code is here. 1, 2, 3 release is just done. People are all working on 1, 2, 4 now. If there is any production issue, it has to go to 1, 2, 3 because from 1, 2, 3 only we release this particular code. So DevOps engineers know all these things. If you don't understand the branching strategy of your application, if you don't understand the branching model of your application, you will not be able to guide your team members. So when you join into a new project, you have to take this information from your team. Mostly they will give you the process, they will explain the process. In case for some reason if somebody is not explaining, then ask them, boss, I want to understand how the code, how the releases are driven in this particular project, how you are getting the branch, when you are getting the branch, right, when you are locking the branch, and what kind of approvals are required and things like that. So if you don't know this information, without knowing this information, don't work. If you, without this information, if you start, what will happen? Developer comes to you saying, okay, bug fix code, where should I commit? You go and then ask your team lead, saying, no, this is the question asked from the development team. Team lead will just tell you, okay, ask him to develop, ask him to commit the code to 1, 2, 3, and then 1 to 4. You convey the same message to the developer. Again, this comes with some other question. And again, you go and then ask your lead or your colleagues. Again, you pass the same fix. After 6 months, since you are going to your team lead every time, team lead gets frustrated and says, you have been working in this particular project from last 6 months, and then you are still depending on me. Why you are depending on your lead? Because you don't know the information. Either your team lead has to tell you, he didn't or she didn't give that KT, and you never asked. Without knowing this information, if you work, what will happen? You get the blame end of the day. So get this information. Usually, in some companies, some projects, right? Again, depending on the culture and things like that, sometimes people don't give this message to you. Assume that you joined as a junior DevOps team member. Your lead knows, because your lead will be attending meetings with the testing team, and then your development team, all these release meetings and things like that. So you don't have any clue what's happening there. So your team lead know what is in 1, 2, 3, what is in 1, 2, 4, why you are lacking the branch, and what kind of approvals are required and things like that. He never shares that information to you. And because sometimes people want to have that dependency on them, right? Again, depending on the culture of the project, company, and things like that. So in that kind of scenarios, you face a lot of issues here. So what I'm telling you, without understanding the branching model of your application, don't work. That's where your professional, the skills come into picture, and then you have to get this information. So that's where usually people struggle. My students come and then call me, sir, this is a scenario, right? I don't have any clue. I'm too much confused, right? Developers are coming and asking me. I'm depending on my lead always. And lead, instead of sharing that information, in turn, he's coming back and then scolding me, saying, okay, so questioning me about my, say, performance. What should I do? I say, go and then get this information. If you know this information, then you don't need to ask, anybody, right? Probably after a month, you'll be able to, understand everything, and then you can suggest the things. Clear? Do that. So this is about, say, for example, Flipkart company's branching model. That's how they plan their release, development, and things like that. So when hundreds of people are working on this project, so you need to have some process to be followed, right? So that's how it works. Likewise, different companies, different projects follow different branching models, It's not, there is no hard rule here saying, okay, everybody has to follow this. No. Okay. So before I explain other branching models or strategies, do you have any questions in this? Go ahead. If I have any confusions, any questions, you can go ahead.
Sir, I have a doubt.
Yes.
Like you told that like while developing a feature for a dev 1.24 branch, so when we do the bug fix for 123 and do the commit to the branch 124, what if there is a conflict? Like how they will do the branching model there?
What do you mean by conflict, Manjunath?
Like you told that
You know what is
the
conflict, or you don't know what is conflict, or you just heard about this?
conflict in the sense like developer 124 will have all the code existing code there, and at the same time if the bug fix is committed there, and what if their conflict is created? So how to solve this? Will they create another branch for bug fix
So
for 1, 2,
I want to
3?
understand that what do you mean by conflict? Do you know what is conflict?
No, sir, not completely. I'm just having a doubt. Like, what if there is what if a code is trying to present at the same place, at the same line?
Got it, Manjunath. So that's a good question. Okay. So Manjunath, you would have heard that, sometimes you get the conflicts and things like that somewhere, right? So that's the reason I was
Yes, yes.
asking whether you know what is conflict exactly and asking the question, or you just heard about, the conflict and asking the question. Manjunath, so let's not, I don't want to mix that with this particular branching model and then confuse people. Okay. But
Okay, sir.
that's a very important question. So what I'll do after branching, we are going to discuss about merging. Here in merging, this issue comes. What is conflict? Okay. Here I'll explain what is the conflict, when we get the conflict, what we do when we get the conflict, and then how we resolve that conflict. Is that fine, Manjunath? Can I postpone your question if you don't mind?
Okay, sure, sir. Sure, sir.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Fine. So because if I explain, no, people don't understand and then people get confused. I don't want to mix that now. Okay. Right.
I have a question.
Yeah, okay.
So, if any complaint comes from this dev 1.2.3 from user, developer will try to solve that issue.
Yes.
We will again commit the change. But after we freeze the this branch, do they have to again take the permission to unfreeze this?
Yes. Again, depends, Laukik. Say, for example, if you want to impose, the strict process, better you ask for the approvals. Because, so unnecessarily, if you commit something here, this code gets disturbed, right? Next time when you commit any bug fixes, if you have something extra here, that will go to the production. So better you take approvals from the team members. See, usually people know, okay? So developers know what they are doing, but when you have, say, if you have only 10 people, people are on all 10 people are on the same pace because it's a small team. If you have 50 members development team or 100 members development team, sometimes people cannot communicate with each other. People don't have updates and things like that. In those kind of scenarios, better you take approval. So having approval is always good there.
Even after release also.
Yes. Priti, any questions you have? Aruna? I'm just calling people, usually people ask the questions to me, right? I'm just naming them. Rajani usually asks the question.
Yes, sir.
Vishnu.
Like I have one doubt. For every release, we'll be creating a branches.
Yes.
Okay.
Otherwise, how do we manage the different branch code? So you have a master, for example. For every new release, if you don't create a new branch, so what will happen? Okay. Again, usually in this particular branch, I got your question. Sorry. Usually, if somebody is following in this particular branching model, they create a new branch for every new release. You can also manage the release without creating a new branch. I'm going to explain that. There is another way to manage, all these things. Of course, there also we create a new branch only, but we manage the things in a different way.
Okay, if creating a new branches, this configuration should be happen in the developer side as well, or only DevOps team?
Can you reframe your question a bit?
Yeah, at the developer side, they will mention the path, right? If it is a development or a production, they define it. It's a a testing one branch, branch, and the production is different branch. Okay, they will mention it, right? That URL.
See, in this case, say for example, dev123 code is released to the customers, right, Rajni? Now you
Yes.
can call it as dev123 is a production branch because current production, your current users are using this particular 123 code. You can call this as a production branch. I just want to correct your terminology, okay? So when you say production branch, is this what you are referring? Dev123 is a production branch, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, now question again.
Yeah.
Okay, the production branch. Go ahead.
Yeah, then we are creating another branch for
Another branch called 124. Okay.
Yeah.
The production branch.
So,
See everybody, she's calling this as a production branch. Yes, you can call it as a production branch because production is running. Your live users are using this particular code. Okay, go ahead, Raj.
yes, there will be another branch, right? Here, dev 1.2.4.
Yes, okay.
That is
123 you
another
have.
development, production branch, right?
Yes, okay.
So, do we need to give this any reference to define in a like a developer will define some URL, right? So, do we need to give this link, or it's our duty? I mean, DevOps duty.
See, people know. Okay. So, for example, I was working on Walmart Labs. Okay. So, I was the first person to join in Walmart Labs in Bangalore team, right? There was no DevOps team in Walmart. I think I joined there, I think 2014 or somewhere around 2014. There was no DevOps team in, Bangalore. And my manager came to me suddenly and says, okay, Nagesh, you have to handle, all these things. I said, okay, I know the process and things like that, but somebody has to give me the KT. So I got the KT from Shanghai and then SA for San Francisco and so on. Then one day I did the merge and all the stuff. Then I went to the manager and said, okay, so now 123 code is released and whole team, right? So your complete, all the teams who are working on the project, they should know that 123 is the release branch, correct? We have to inform them, right? We have to inform them. So usually what we do, we send an email to everybody saying, okay, 123 code is released. Okay, 123 is a production branch now. So we send an email. So I just went to my manager and asked, okay, I don't know, I'm a new joinee here. Tell me what teams need to get the communication. So what I heard, he gave me the teams and things like that. And then I copied maybe 10, 20 emails and I just sent emails. So we tell them, people know, right? See, when you are doing something, when we are all working as a team, right? So when there's a release, when there's a branch lock, when we create a new branch, we send communication emails to all team members and people know that this is the production branch, this is 124 branch. We have to communicate, we have to tell them.
No, sir, my question is different actually. For example, there is a one URL called production, just a production. HTTP.
One second.
Okay.
Okay, what do you mean by URL? What do you mean by production URL?
Production URL is fixed. It's a
URL means you are talking about the branch URL, repository URL?
Browser URL. Browsing URL.
Repository URL?
Not repository URL. Like the production URL, who is using that URL?
Website URL and
Website
HTTPS.
That URL.
Sorry, come again.
Website URL.
Okay,
That-
Flipkart.com website
FTP
URL.
Yes,
Yes.
FTP.
So
When you say URL, it's a Flipkart.com website URL,
yes,
right?
yes, correct, yes.
Okay. Now I understand.
So
Okay.
that will be defined in a backend, I mean developer, right? Where to redirect.
Can you start your questions again
That
from
is different, okay.
Rajni?
That is
Okay.
developer job, okay. So there will be a Flipkart.com.
That's a production URL.
Yeah,
Okay.
that production one having dev 1.2.3 initially, right? Which
Okay.
is completed.
Production URL has dev123 code. Yes.
Yes, right. So then secondly, we are going to, we are going to already released 1.2.4. So
Yeah, but we are currently
how
working
we
on
are going to change that?
no 123 is what 123 is a production URL.
Yes.
.com. We are
Yeah.
working 124, correct?
Yeah, after
Yes.
completion of this 1 to 4, the testing, everything is completed, working fine. So how we are making it production instead of 1.2.3?
Okay. See, we don't need to change anything there, Rajni. So this is what we do. I think Rajni has some knowledge, the prior knowledge already. Everybody, you may not understand what I'm going to explain now, but if you had understood the demo properly, probably you understand this. Okay, see this, everybody. Rajni, let me explain when I say release here, what exactly I mean. Of course, we'll be discussing that thoroughly in Maven class. I said 1, 2, 3 development is done. We take 1, 2, 3 code, then we release it, right? What do you mean by release here? We have 1, 2, 3 code, correct? We have to release the code to the customer. What do you mean by release here? This is what we do.
Deployment.
Yes, correct. You're right. So development team, end-to-end build and deployment workflow. Everybody, you know this, right? Development teams. You have the Git here. As a DevOps engineer, we take the code, we build the code, and then we deploy the code. You all know this. This is our repository. So this is your flipkart.com, www.flipkart.com. So this is your Tomcat server. Development team, 100 people are there. This is your GitHub. This is your remote repository. So first step is what? Every day developers write the code. All these developers commit the code to GitHub. Where they are committing the code in Git repository, there are two branches now. One is master branch. Second one is dev123, correct? Everybody? So master branch code and then dev123 code. First step is clone. Second step is you build the application. You have to compile the code. Third step is you have to deploy the code. This guy is a real user, end user. So this is your production. Clear? Everybody? You all know, right? So developers write the new code every day. They commit the code to the GitHub, right? Somewhere. We take the code and then we have to compile the code, right? Everybody? You have some code here, Java code, for example. We take the code from this. Now you see this. You take the code either from this directory, copy 1 or copy 2, correct? Either from master or dev123, correct? So whole month, okay, Jan 1st to March 1st, 2 months, people are committing the code to which branch, which copy? Directory 1, directory 2. They are modifying the code in 1, 2, 3, correct? So 1, 2, 3. People are committing the code to 1, 2, 3. And then every day what we'll be doing, we'll be taking the code from this particular dev branch every day. We compile the code. We compile the code because this is a source code, right? You have to compile the code and then you have to generate that in the binaries and things like that. So assume that you have .java files. you have to compile and you will get the class fields. And then you will create something called var file. So basically, we clone the code, we build the code. Build in the code means we take the Java files, we compile the code, because Java code is not machine understandable, right? You have to compile it. When you compile, then only machine can execute the code. Explain that well in demo class. You build it, and then we deploy the code into the production. So this is Flipkart.var. Correct? Every day, see, when there is a new code in 1, 2, 3, you don't take the code and then you cannot deploy the code directly in the production, right? What you have to do? We have to deploy that code in the test environment first. Right? You have to test it, right? So every day, what we'll be doing? We'll be developers are committing the code to dev 1, 2, 3. We'll be taking the code, we compile the code, and then we deploy it into where? Test environment first. Name of this environment is Flipkart-test.com, say for example. So we deploy the code here. We don't deploy the code directly to the production. So dev 1, 2, 3 code, people are committing the code to dev 1, 2, 3, right? Here, everybody is committing the code to 1, 2, 3. We have to test it, right? I said development testing happens side by side. Means what? The moment they develop some new code, the moment they commit some new code to the dev 1, 2, 3, what we will do? We will be taking the code from this dev 1, 2, 3, right? You'll learn all these things, how to take the code from 1, 2, 3, how to build, how to deploy the code. We'll be learning that in my own class. So you take the code from 1, 2, 3, you compile it, and then you deploy the code to Flipkart-test.com. Then comes your testing team, your tester. Your tester types Flipkart-test.com. If your tester types Flipkart-test.com, it will go to this particular environment. Here you have 1, 2, 3 code, correct? 1.2.3 code. So every day, these people commit some code to 1, 2, 3. Every day you're taking the code from 1, 2, 3. You are building it, you are deploying it, and your tester is accessing the application and then testing it. We work like this for 1.5 months, or say 2 months. Once everything is working fine, then what do? We take the same code from 1, 2, 3, and then we create the var file, we deploy the code to the production. This is called as a release, build and release, or build and deployment, build and release or build and deployment. That's what the meaning of deployment or release. So we are taking the code, we are deploying the code to production, test environment, Flipkart-test.com. This URL remains same. Flipkart.com is Flipkart.com for the real users. What we are doing here, once the development is done, we are just taking the new code and then we are deploying it. Do we need to change any URL for the user? No, right? It is just that we deploy the new code, and on one day, Flash users will think that, okay, oh, some user interface has been changed, and then earlier, there was no don't delivery. Suddenly I get don't delivery feature in Flipkart application and things like that. So we don't need to change any URL. It is just that we take the new code and then we deploy.
So here, while taking
First of all, I want to
we-
confirm, is this your question? Is this what you want to ask?
It's almost this one,
Okay.
but yeah. I mean, I'm not saying that changing the URL, that Flipkart.com. Like the releases we are doing, right? 1.2.3 and 1.2.4, like that.
One second. Raju.
Okay.
So 1.2.3 release it is, okay. So till this point, what we are doing, we are taking the code from 1.2.3 copy, we are building, we are deploying, we are testing. So one day when I say the release is done, means what? We are taking the same code from 1.2.3, we are building and then we are deploying the code to production. Okay, now go ahead. See, it's not, I can answer your question directly, but a lot of people are there, right? I want others to understand the question and then answer also. That's the reason I'm kind of coming in a round way. Go ahead, Raju.
Okay. So that release one, we are taking the latest code and deploying here, right?
Latest code means, okay, 1, 2, 3 release, we are taking from 1, 2, 3 release branch. We are
Okay. So
building
here,
for the
here itself we are taking the latest version, that release version, and deployment doing. Oh,
yeah,
okay.
latest release
Now
version.
I
We are
understood.
taking the latest code from 1, 2, 3 because it's been 2 months, right? It's been 2 months. Everybody is working on this particular branch. 1 second. So it's been 2 months. Everybody is working on this particular branch. 2 months, right? So we have a lot of changes here. So we take the when you say latest, yes, we take the code from here.
Okay, fine. I understood. I thought like whatever release version we are using for every time, so we should tell the developer to change something in a development one. That's that
Okay,
was
now we understand, right? We
yes,
don't
sir.
need to tell anything to the developer, correct?
Yeah. Can you show it like
Rajni,
practically releasing?
can you ask the same question that you asked initially? What was your question? Now I want to understand.
Yeah, this release versions, right? 1.2.3 and 1.2.4. So how
Okay.
we are taking that version and deploying to the production one?
You wanted to understand that. Okay.
Yes.
Now it's clear. Okay.
Yes,
Again, you
sir.
have some question. What was that?
Yeah, practically, like how to release the versions
We'll,
in the
we'll,
Git.
we'll do this in my own class. See, now,
Okay.
as we know, we are still here. We are still here. We are just learning. I told you two things, right? One, if developer is how developers take the code, how they modify the code, how they submit the code back. If you are a DevOps engineer, how you take the code, how you modify the code, how you submit the code back. And then we are still with the Git, right? So I'm explaining how release happens. Development, testing, release, and all the things. So once this is done, we'll go to Maven. There I'll explain all these things, how release happens, how we deploy the code and things like that. That is there, Rajni.
Okay, so the branch, if the branches are different, we should tell the developer the branch is a different one. You should commit the code to this branch only. We should tell that, or the same branch name will be available.
No, we'll tell different branch.
Okay.
So tomorrow, the plan was to complete the branching model today. I'll be explaining, another 2-3 branching models. Since you asked the question, we could not complete this. So usually in this particular branching model, for every new release, we are getting new branch 1, 2, 3, 1 to 4. Without creating 1, 2, 3, 1 to 4 also, separate branches also, we can manage, all these scenarios. I'll explain that in tomorrow's class.
Okay, because I have done only with the 2 branches, 3 branches, only development one and production one and my branch.
Can you explain your branch?
Every time I was pushing the code to only that branches. So
Can you
I
explain your branching model if you can? Do you remember? No force, but if you can.
Development.
You have master?
Yeah.
Okay. Under master, you have development branch?
Yes.
Okay. Then?
Production.
There is production.
Yeah,
Which one is
production branch. No, another branch.
under?
Under master, it's like
Under
different
master.
branches.
Under master production, okay.
And our like developer name with the developer name.
This is main, right?
I mean Rajini, yeah, master, that is one.
Okay.
These 3. So every time I used to commit the code to only these 3. There is like even if it is a versioning, I don't know whether they were doing the versioning or not.
See,
That's
I
just asked the question.
that is the branching model you are following. Okay.
Yeah.
So similarly, I can follow this branching model. You are following your branching model. Different companies follow different branching models. So tomorrow I'll explain other branching models. Once I explain other branching models, you explain your branching model, Rajni. Or you just tell me, even if you don't have 100% clarity, just tell me what you are doing. I'll try to kind of form a
my branching is only these things. I was just
I'll ask you 3
as a
questions.
developer, like I
Okay.
was just pushing the code to that branch and merging to the production one. And I don't know whether developer were doing this releasing. I mean, DevOps one doing this releasing part and all. I was not.
You will get the clarity. You will get the clarity. I
Yeah.
will ask your branching models few questions. You tell me what you know, and I will try to clarify everything.
Yeah. Okay.
What you are currently working on. Okay.
Okay.
See the questions, everybody. Okay. See, I wanted to kind of extend the discussion intentionally so that you all understand. Okay. See, she was not able to frame the question the way that I understand and things like that. But hope this diagram gave you the clarity. Correct. So I
Yes.
just mentioned here, see, I just mentioned here, we release the code. Release means what? This is the what we do. So you have the code in 1, 2, 3. We take the code, we build the code, and then we test it for 2 months every day. 2 months, once everything is done, then we release the code. So more questions, more clarity. I did not give this clarity because anyway, you will understand this in math class. Okay, others. So Rajni will get the clarity, clarity maybe after next class. So do you have any questions about, forget about this, the recent question. Do you have any other questions about this? Not about that. Okay, not about, this branching model. Any questions, guys? Any confusions?
Hello, sir. Hello.
Okay, go ahead.
Yes, sir. Sir, first we have released Dev 1.2.3. Then after using some time, users gave their complaint to us that it has some problems. Then again we merge some code and again we update the branch Dev 1.2.3.
One second, okay. So we release the code from 1 to 3. Okay, then next.
And after one March,
After
1st March,
first
after
March.
yes, March.
One second. After 1st March, okay. We release the code. Okay, fine.
After 1st March, user gives some problem.
There is
And
some problem. Okay, one second. We release the code 1st March. Okay, there is some problem here. Okay, next.
problem. Then developer again thought of modifying the code. And
Yes, modifying the code.
then they gave to the DevOps engineer to
Unlock the branch.
unlock the branch, and they updated it. They pushed in the new code.
They push the new code to where, Laukik? 1, 2, 3, right?
Dev 1 to 3.
Okay, next.
There we have to again merge the code to the master. Then
everybody. That's a good question, right? So you have taken the code from 1, 2, 3. There is some issue in 1, 2, 3. You merge the, you developer fix that issue and then developer committed that code to 1, 2, 3. Correct? So end of the day, everybody, we have to have the code to the master, correct? So do you need to merge 1, 2, 3 to the master? Merge has this code end of the day has to go to the master, but you don't need to merge Laukik. Why? Tell me. So one day, see, developer is committing the code to 1, 2, 3. Developer is also committing the same code to 1 to 4, right? Okay.
yes, sir.
Here. So one day we will also lock this particular branch. We will code freeze it like this, right? So once 1 to 4 is done, we will lock the branch. We'll do the code freeze. We'll merge it to the master, correct? One day. So that time anyway, it will go to the master.
Okay.
Okay, understand this?
It will go to the master.
Anyway, it will go to the master. But so developer, there is a mission 1, 2, 3, right? Reported to the developer. Developer committed that issue to 1, 2, 3. So and 1 to 4 also developer will commit for sure. Correct? So when again one day, again it's a 2 months release. We lock the branch one day, we'll declare the code freeze, we'll again do the thorough testing, we'll release 1 to 4. So we will merge it anyway to the master again, right? One day. That time anyway it will go. So we don't need to merge. But assume that you're doing some performance testing, you're doing something. It will take 1 month for you to merge this code. But there is some issue here. In that case, people say, okay, there is some issue in the master because they're doing the performance testing. They say there is some issue. Can you please merge it? We say wait for 1 month. Anyway, it will be merged. People cannot wait. In that case, they say, we want it urgently. That time we have to merge it from here itself. But otherwise, anyway, it will be merged. Laukik, follow-up questions.
Then what will happen to the earlier commit in master?
What will happen to?
Earlier commit in the master. It will be, we keep that or we have to.
It will be updated. It will be updated. So you have some bug fix code here, for example. Okay. Right. So there is some, what happened here? One second.
Sir, zoom that one, sir, in the down only.
Yeah. I'll just copy paste it. So, right, there is some new fix here. When you merge it, what will happen? Tell me. Assume that you have login.java, 1000 lines of code. Okay. You have some new code here, say 1100 lines of code. When you merge it, what will happen? It will become 1100 lines. It will be merged. Okay.
Then the master will have two versions of dev 1.2.3.
Master, new version, when you are merging the code, right? Say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. What will become the latest after merge? When you merge 1, 2, 3 to the master, this will become the latest 110, 1100 lines. That will become the latest.
Okay, and previous version will be also late.
It is there, but when somebody takes the code from master, they will get the latest copy, which has 1100 lines.
Okay.
Latest.
If you want to have keep the only stable version, fully stable version, then we can also delete the previous version.
Why you want to delete the previous one? Stable means what? See, we are.
I think he's
will-
asking if it's going to be like subversion of the 1, 2, 3.
See, we'll merge the code to the master only after testing, correct? Okay. After testing only, we'll merge the code. That means what? It is stable only. We are merging the code. We are merging the stable code only with the master. Okay.
No, actually, sir, I'm asking on March that the commit we have done, we pushed that code.
Sorry to bypass you, Karthik. Okay, go ahead.
What will happen to the this file that we pushed on 1st March? Because user have like given their feedback that it's not working properly. So do we have to keep that commit, or we have to because we now we have updated that with a new commitment.
Karthik, you can speak now.
No. I was trying to understand his question though. I think you were saying, like, in the class you explained when the versions of each file will be multiplied. So we'll have a clone of each version.
Yeah.
So just like that, 1, 2, 3 will have another subversion of a bug fix. I think that's what I understand from his question.
Yes.
If I'm right or wrong, I'm not sure.
I think his question is different. Okay, I'll break down your question now. Okay, because you're bringing that merging concept, right? So when I don't hear the proper terminology, then I get confused. Okay, but no worries. Let's see. We are all learning, right? So it happens with me also. Okay, so let me break down your question one by one. Okay, can you go slow? Sentence by sentence. I'll break down your question first. Let me understand the question first. Because if I don't understand the question, I cannot give a proper answer. That's the thing. Go ahead, okay.
On 1st March, we
One second. Let me, because everybody should be able to understand. 1 second. 1 second. Okay, when you say first merge, this is the one. Let me take another color. How do I choose it? Okay. Whatever. Okay, when you say first merge, this is the merge, right? Okay.
1st March, we
This is the first merge, right?
we merged the new file of version dev 1.2.3.
Okay, so this is the first merge, correct? We locked the branch. We called it as a code freeze. We are merging it, correct?
And after
Do you mean this is the first merge? When you say first merge, what do you mean by this? This is the one?
yes, sir.
First merge. Okay. Go ahead.
It is of dev 1.2.3.
Correct.
Okay. Then after 3 days, after getting some feedback, we again merged a new file on, say, on 5th of March.
Same.
Say, if we assume that on 5th of March, again, we merged another file from dev 1.2.3.
So you mean we started thorough testing here. There was some issue. There is some fix here. Again, we merged it. Is this what you want to?
Yes.
Okay.
Now there will be 2 copies of same version, 1.2.3, dev 1.2.3. There will be 2 versions.
Why 2 versions? 1 second. So let me
Yes.
clarify the what merges first. Okay. 1 second. 1 second. So you have master. You have dev 123. Okay. There is a file here called login.java. Everybody, if you want to quit, you can quit the session. Okay. So anyway, you will understand this in the merging class. I think love quick question is the same thing. If you have any urgency, you can quit, or if you want to stay, that's okay. See this login.java, login.java. We are modifying the code login.java. We merge it. Even I don't want to complicate the things. This is master. This is day 1, 2, 3. Okay. There is a file here called login.java. Okay. We are merging login.java. Okay. So login.java to login.java is merged. Again, there is a change here in 1, 2, 3. Again, you are merging it. That means what? Assume that you have 100 lines of code. You have, say, here you have 100 extra lines. You are merging it, means what? It will become 110 lines of code. That's a merge, right? Logic, you understand about the merge? 100 lines of the code, 110 lines of the code merge. That means this is the latest. That means if anybody takes the code from master, they will get 110 lines of the code. Logic, do you understand this? Or?
Yes. Yes, sir.
Okay, right. Now you have 110 lines. Okay, now go ahead. Next question.
Now, every time we commit a file or push a file, it will, because it is a version controlling system, it will create a new file, new commit or file.
Yes, you commit.
Yes. There will be two versions in the master branch.
Two
Previous,
versions of master branch. Assume that this is, let's call it as a 100. Let's call it as a 1. Let's call it as a 2. Okay, 2 versions. Yes, you are right. Next.
From feedback, we got some issues in version 1.
Version 1, you got the issue.
Yes. So
Why? Because 1 second. 2 is latest, right? So everybody is working on 2.
okay.
Why people will get complaint on 1? Because I'll tell you, 1 you have 10 lines of code. Second version you have 20 lines of the code. Third version you have 30 lines of code. 3 is 1 plus 2 plus 3. 3 has the latest. So that means 3 has 1 plus 2 plus 3. That means here this is the latest. So people cannot say, this is the latest. Everybody is using this. If everybody has to complain, they have to complain on this. It's not the situation that, you cannot say that, this has the issue. Everybody is working on this latest, right? Okay. So you cannot say that, you have the issue in version 1.
Okay. We can
Okay.
just keep it there without any sense.
Sir, follow-up question.
So we can keep the version 1 without deleting it, or we can just keep it there.
It is just there, that's all. So see, every day, today I create a version 1 or version 1. Tomorrow, this is my latest one. Next day, this is my latest one. That means if I committed something, means this is the latest, means everybody is using this only. You cannot go back and say, there is issue here. If there is issue here, fix it here, and then that will become the latest.
No, actually, We have created version 2 because of the feedback from the users that
Yes, correct.
version 1 was creating some problem.
Okay. There is a feedback. You create a version 2 means this is the latest, right? So it's a past story. There was some issue here. You fix that issue means what? Past story is fixed with what you are having in past. So this is the latest one. Everybody will be using this. So once you have the latest one, once it is fixed, you cannot say again I have the problem here in past. So if there's a problem in past, there is a problem here also. So if there is a problem here, you fix it here. Now go ahead. Okay.
My question is that we need to keep all the stable version in master branch.
Yes.
In future, if we want to use the version of dev 1.2.3, there will be no use of this version 1. We'll directly
So once you have the latest one, you don't need this version 1.
Yes.
Once you have the version 2, you don't need version 1. You'll be working on 2 only.
Okay. So we can delete this version 1 because if we forget about that in future, there will be some moment that if we want version dev version 1.2.3, we accidentally use the version 1 file. We may
No, okay. I think okay. I'll do one thing since it's taking more time. Okay, let's do one thing. So I think it's related to merging and things like that. Can I take your question here, Laukik? Let's do this. 1 second. Let me note it down. Let me first explain this merging. Can I take this question here? Okay. By the completion of this topic, you'll be having some knowledge so that I can understand and I'll explain this. Is that okay? You can ask this question here. Is that okay? Okay.
Hello?
Is that okay? I'll take your question here.
Okay, sir.
Since I'm not able to understand, I think after merging, you will understand the process more, so that I can understand your question better. Is that okay?
Okay.
Yeah. Any other questions, guys? Still here?
Sir, just one more question. I just have to clarify my understanding. Like we are having a new release and like we are merging it with the master. So I mean in the production only we are merging. So I just
Okay.
want to understand, is this the same term which we use for hotfix?
So hotfix means bug fix branch usually. So you have the issue in 1, 2, 3, right? We'll merge the code to 1, 2, 3, correct? So this is a bug fix branch. So sometimes in some projects people call it a hotfix. It's the same thing. Can you ask this question tomorrow's class? I'll be explaining some branching models. This is only first branching model, right? I'll explain 2, 3, 4 branching models. Then you ask this question. So I'll explain what is hotfix branch.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Tomorrow I'll answer your question.
Sure, sir.
Thank you. Any other questions, guys? Okay, don't worry. Laukik has a question. Now you all may be having different questions. Let me explain other branching models in next class. Then I will clarify all your things. Any other questions you have specific to the topics that we discussed so far? Everybody?
No, sir.
I have one question, just clarification only I need. You said once release bug fixes happened, Okay, no need to merge into master branch. Directly we can do changes in this release only, right? You said.
Not really. If there is any bug fix commit here,
Huh.
anyway, that code goes to 1 to 4, right? So when we merge 1 to 4, it will go to the master anyway here. So we don't need to merge here. We can wait until 1 to 4 gets merged.
But the client have 1.2.3 release only, right?
One
Client.
second. So bug fix here, right?
Yeah.
Before release, we have bug fix. We fix the bug and then only we release the code to 1 to 3, correct?
No, what you said, no, after release, client find out one bug. So
One second. Okay, after released, there is a bug here in 1 to 3.
bug. And again, they will go to developers and developers, they will fix the bug. Okay, after that, that one you said no need to merge into master branch.
Yes.
Directly we can fix into the release.
Yes.
Yeah, but I have one doubt here. Client have only production branch only, right? Or how we can directly give to the client in release that bug
But
fix?
client doesn't know about the production. What is it? Client is using the application, correct?
Yeah, application.
Client is using the application. Client is using the application here. Client doesn't know all these things. Better, no?
Means directly without merging into the master branch, how they will give directly to the client? That is my doubt. What you are saying in the next release, they will get a latest one also, that understood. But in 1.2.3, how they will give release directly to the client? That is my doubt.
Okay. Aruna, I'll take your question here, right? After tomorrow, I'll explain about a few other branching models. Okay.
Okay, sure.
I'll take your question here. So I think that is better. Fine. I'll take your question here, Aruna. Okay.
Yeah, okay, sure.
In next class only, I'll take.
Sure.
Any other questions, guys? This is very common for me. So when I stop branching models after the first one, I get a lot of the questions. I'm very happy now that I'm getting the questions. Any other questions?
So what I understood, so this branching models depend upon the organization, how they,
Yes.
which type of branching model they are following. Yeah? Okay,
Yes.
maybe some
You
other branching model.
you can achieve the same things, whatever we've discussed. What are the things here? So 1 to 3 code should be separate. Master should be separate. 1 to 4 code should be separate. When there is a mission 1 to 3, you should be able to give the extra things, some patch on top of 1 to 3 only. Same notes, same questions, whatever I have asked, whatever I have generated, same thing can be fixed in other models also. So I think we'll wind up this session. So after I explain other branching models, you will understand all these things. So same thing can be done in another way also. Yes, you're right.
Okay. Thank you.
This is same thing can be done in other way also. That's the reason I say branching model 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then n number of the things. I'll tell you one simple thing.
Sure.
I attended one interview. This guy asked me, my interviewer, Nagesh, tell me what branching model you are following. I said, I'm following this branching model. And he said, he started arguing with me. Nagesh, this branching model, whatever you are following, explaining is not good. I said, this is working good for me. Then he asked me the cross question. What if this is the use case? What do you do? What if this is the use case? What you will do? I started answering all his use cases. My branching model satisfies all his use cases. Discussion went for 1.5 to 2 hours. Only branching model. And then he was my interviewer. I attended the interview. After 1.5 to 2 hours, I said, discussion going somewhere. Whatever works for you, that's the best branching model for you. Whatever works for me, that's the best branching model for me. So there is no standard fixed branching model. So whatever works for you, you define your own. There are a lot. So what my job here is, I'll explain 5, 6, 7 branching models. So once you understand, if you understand all these 4, 5 branching models, when you join in real time, you will be able to understand your branching model very easily. If I explain only this, you cannot understand. So
Correct.
that's the reason I'll explain a few more branching models. After that, you will be able to understand any branching model in the world. That will happen.
Correct.
Believe me. Okay. So
Okay, got it.
I'll explain this.
Okay.
You'll get the
Thank you.
clarity after next class. Yeah, no problem.
Sure, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Good night. If you have
Thank
any
you.
other
Good night.
questions, please note it down in your notepad or whatever. Let's discuss in next class. Thank you. Good night.
Thank you, sir. Good night.
Good night.